Greetings of love and gratitude to all the viewers. I'm Saamdu Chetri from Bhutan, working for the Rekhi Foundation for Happiness. I'm going to speak on mindfulness, the source or the seed of happiness. I used to ask people who looked very stressed if they practiced mindfulness. They told me that they did not have time for mindfulness. I again confirmed with them if I had heard right, although some of them got irritated, not happy. To my big surprise, it was true that they were claiming that they did not have time for mindfulness. I wondered if that meant they were in a state of forgetfulness or mindlessness of the lowest kind, and of course, they were far from happiness. When I explored further, I realized they were referring to sitting meditation. My practice, experience say that if I am in a state of mindfulness, I'm meditating all along from waking up to going back to bed. Meditation is a way to make you calm, peaceful, self understood, and even self cured. When you are in a state of calmness within, you become mindful and create presence not only within but outside of you as well. Rather, you can say sitting meditation is one of the paths to mindfulness for greatness. So, what is mindfulness? Often it is understood to be present here and now. Are you not present here and now? Yes, you are. But mindfulness means to be completely aware of your thoughts and actions so that the physical self is present with them. A lot of space in the human brains is occupied by regrets, annoyance, frustration, even jealousy, anger, pride, greed, excessive desires, lust, or preoccupied with thoughts and worry for future. This state of living in the past and or future is called forgetfulness. When you live in forgetfulness, you are not present in what you think and do. It always interrupts you, and therefore you are never present mentally in your work, which is also called a lack of awareness. Thus, mindfulness means to be present here and now with your mind. If you are physically in a particular space and you are thinking of the things, you are not present, therefore, not mindful. When you are mindful, the space taken by forgetfulness in your mind is emptied, and there is extra space for good things to replace the empty space. Remember some of the great thoughts that may have arisen in your mind were when you were taking a shower. Why so? Simply because your awareness is connected to the water with your body and the mind is free from forgetfulness. What makes human unhappy? The major cause of unhappiness is the attachment to the material things that are momentary and non-permanent. Why do humans have attachment to material things? It's simply because they have learned to live in a low or animal consciousness, driven by greed for more, comparison with others who have more than those who have less, the pride that divides you from others, excessive desires before needs, and lust being egocentric. When you are mindful, you understand the false nature of attachment and begin to learn to be detached from these poisons of the mind, and the continuous practice makes it live with you for good. Further, you will understand the non dualistic perspective and remain with the right thoughts and understanding. Why are you then not able to remain in the realm of non dualism and hold the right views and thoughts and understanding? It is simply because of the epigenesis that is created in you by the environment you lived in. All kinds of perspectives are already written down in your subconscious mind, right from mother's womb. It is the circumstances, and environment that modulated and groomed you unconsciously to be who you are today. Further, the modern education system enhances your greed and makes you a product ready for the marketplace. This means you prepare all through your schooling education to be sold to an organization or an institution. Happiness is in action, and when your actions are mindful, you are in a natural state of being, and happiness is sustained. Simply because you are present in what you do with full awareness and not in a state of forgetfulness. Einstein wrote a note in German to a bellboy in the Imperial Hotel Tokyo in 1922 as he did not have money to tip him. This was when he had traveled there to receive his Nobel Prize. This note has been bought in Israel for $1.6 million. What does the note say? Quote, a calm and humble life will bring happiness, then the pursuit of success, and the constant restlessness that comes with it. Unquote. To understand what great thought leaders in the past and present said about happiness, it can easily be linked to mindfulness. Aristotle said, happiness is within us. Tao means a path and the processes. Confucius said, we need to change constantly if we want to be happy. Mahatma Gandhi said, what you think, say, and act, if they are in harmony or synchronicity, you are in happiness. Dalai Lama said, happiness is not ready made, it comes with your action. And coming back to Siddhartha Gautama, who became Buddha, meaning the enlightened one, he said, if you are victorious of your mind, happiness becomes your shadow moving along with you. If unchecked, it is the worst enemy. What all this means is that happiness is in the mindfulness. Buddha nature, meaning absolute or the highest truth, is in each of you. You will never find that nature if you live all the time outside of yourself. It is how you react to your own existence, either in comparison, sensitization, or other people's affirmations, and you will never find your own absolute truth. However, if you become mindful, you not only find happiness, but you will also arise love, joy, peace, and more. When you continue on the pedestal of peace, you will be surrounded by the highest truth, and you are enlightened. How to understand mindfulness? First, let me ask this question. Who are we? If you do not know yourself, how would you know anything? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning the whole world is one family, according to Sanatan Dharma, meaning over encompassing eternal righteous way of living life, wrongly termed as Hindu Dharma. A great king ruling in the central India had a visitor from Kashmir, a Hindu Pandit turned into a monk. People started to talk about the intelligence of the visitor. It reached the ears of the king. He asked his minister to bring him to the courtroom the following day. He was waiting when the king, Melinda, arrived at the courtroom. He asked the visitor to introduce himself. The visitor said, my name is Nagasena, but I am not Nagasena. The king, a bit infuriated on hearing his introduction, said, "If you were murdered tonight, you are not dead." The king, still annoyed, continued asking him many questions about soul, dualism, non permanence, and more. Nagasena calmly and quietly listened, and when it was time for him to answer, he asked the king with great reverence, "Your Majesty, if you don't mind, could I ask you how you arrived at this place today?" "I came by chariot," said Melinda. Nagasena, after thanking the king, answered him with questions. "O great king, are the wheels the chariot? Is the axle the chariot? Are the horses the chariot? Is the pole that draws the chariot? Is the box where you stood in the chariot?" The king understood that he was dealing for the first time with an intelligent person and realized that human body was formed from many elements like the chariot and that the name was just an identification. After humans' death, they merge back into the source of existence, which is the five elements of the universe called Bhagavan or Namo Shivaya in India, meaning the same five elements of the universe. In the term Bhagavan, the alphabet Va stands for Bhumi, meaning the earth. The alphabet Ga stands for Gagan, the sky. There is the sound of alphabet A with Ga, but it is not written in the term and it stands for fire or energy. Alphabet Va stands for Vayu, the wind or air, and the final alphabet Na stands for Nir, the water. If you merge this information into two sciences, Vedic and genetic, you get the following results. Vedic science says 12% of the human body form is earth, alphabet Bha for Bhumi, in the term Bhagavan. The body form started to grow from the food mother nourished when you became a diploid or a zygote formed from the haploid of father joining the other haploid of mother in her womb to a size of 0.005 inches, not visible to the naked eye. In 9 months, you became a baby from the nourishment of the mother and are born. Everyone grew with nourishment in the form of food, water, air, and the sun to whatever size gained by each one of us today. You all know this part of the story. Genetic scientist Dr. Bruce H. Lipton says the human body is community of cells and each cell is complete by itself. He says average cells in human body would have 50 trillion cells. Every cell has an equivalent of 1.4 volts of energy, meaning 52 trillion volts, while Vedic science says this 8% of body form is energy in the unwritten sounding alphabet A in Ga from the term Bhagavan. Every cell requires air in the form of oxygen and generates carbon dioxide to be released. Even if the requirement of oxygen for every cell is a tip of a needle, 50 trillion tip would fill a big room. Vedic science says 8% is the alphabet Va, in term Bhagavan for Vayu, the air or oxygen. And finally, science says 60 to 80% of human body is fluid, and Vedic science averages it to 72%, which is the final alphabet in Bhagavan Na, Nir for water or fluid. Thus, you are 100% Bhagavan or the oneness that Indians refer to as deities, gods, or the universe. Therefore, humans must learn to live in interbeing in the ecology as it wants human to form an alliance and not according to how humans want, want and disrupt their own existence. Humans are because they are. Today, there are cow therapies in the West for depressed people. Yes, because when you hug a cow, 88% of its genes communicate with human genes as they are exactly the same genes and bring harmony in you. Cows don't get into depression because they do not live or think of the past or future. They are present always and therefore they are not depressed. The same goes for insects, plants, birds, food, nature in its entirety. If you go to forests, gardens, waterways, any part of nature, you have a calming effect as their genes communicate with yours and synchronize yours with theirs because their genes are prevalent in each one of you. It is said 70% of banana genes are with you, with likewise 90% of frog genes or 91% of chimpanzee genes, 85% of dog genes, a quarter of rice genes, 76% of chicken genes, fish genes, and name it. Genes of the entire biodiversity are with humans. You're created by them and not that you have created them. That makes the human stock dependent on the ecology, but nature is not in any way dependent on humans. Humans are leeches, the mites, the parasites that have attached to the earth for everything to survive. Yet they think they are larger than nature. If you understand this concept, then you can easily learn to be not only mindful but grateful of your existence, and the absolute truth will uncover itself to provide bliss higher than just happiness. There are 5 steps to mindfulness. There are mindful breathing, mindful meditation, the mindful release of tension, mindful awareness of the body, and the mindful movements. This practice through breathing and flowing with it, either with verses for self affirmations or without, through pranayama, breathing techniques, visualization meditation, gazing meditation, sound, music, chanting, and prayers, or through awareness of the body by touching every part through visualization with gratitude, by recognizing its attributes and asking to relax, or through Kapalbhati, a deep and fast breathing techniques, and mindful walking, exercising, washing, cleaning, etc. All these practices will lead you to be in mindfulness and thus lead you to happiness. As Buddha said, the only way to happiness, happiness is the way. There are further 5 mindfulness practices to be happy. In this, you have to strive for reverence of life. Every creature fears death, including plants. You need to take care of them and understand them as they contribute to building your genes. The second is true happiness, wherein you need to exercise social justice. There must be love, tolerance, equality, harmony in society. The third one is true love, meaning no lust, but being 100% loyal to one you love. In other words, only one partner living in trust. The third one is deep listening and loving speech. This practice eliminates all foreseeable problems or sufferings and brings happiness to the practitioner. The fifth one is the right nourishment for the body and mind, for health and healing and happiness. Nourishment is not with meat, dairy, or factory food. Remind yourself you become what you eat. happiness can be a part of yourself by practicing three domains of being. Before speaking about these three domains, I found that United Nations Public Administration Program has very beautifully described the needs and attributes of four dimensions of human beings. They said the need for the body is to live, and its attribute is discipline. Live for who? The soul, of course. You know, everything can only be achieved and permanently written down in your subconscious mind with much discipline, practice, like learning to read and write, or ride a bicycle or drive a car. The second dimension of human beings is the mind, and they said its need is to learn while its attribute is to vision. The second dimension of human beings is the mind, and they said its need is to learn while its attribute is to vision. This vision must be outcome based so that you can plan well. The third dimension is the heart. They say the need of the heart is to love, and its attribute is passion. Love, I said, is the abbreviation for live on values every day. The values must be based on truth and not on the belief systems. Passion, according to me, is a life giver. The fourth dimension is spirit, and the need of the spirit, according to them, is to leave a legacy behind. And this can only happen, according to me, when you stop walking on the trodden path filled with greed, jealousy, pride, anger, hatred, excessive desires, and lust. And according to them, the attribute of the spirit is conscience. What is right from wrong? The very values of human life. Again, let me repeat, not based on belief systems. Thus, happiness is not momentary or fleeting. It must be the happiness that can be sustained. And this can only happen when you do not make it a goal, but derive from your actions by serving others, living in harmony with nature, the human's creator, and realizing human potentials and wisdom. Therefore, to get to it, you have to practice the three domains of your being. The first one is wisdom. It is founded on the right thoughts and understanding. Thoughts create your reality. You see things according to your mind. The human mind is always divided between good and bad. It gives you an illusionary and dualistic perspective. Let me take an example. If you see a dirty man with bleeding wounds in rags and mucus flowing from both sides of his nose and saliva from his mouth, with filth all around him, I'm sure most of you will go by it feeling very dirty and disgusted. If the same scene was painted by a great artist and you happen to see it in the photo exhibition gallery, you're going to appreciate it. Wow, what a great painting that looks real. Why can you not see everything like a painter then? All that you saw in the poor man is also with every human being. The right understanding can only arise when you can go to the depth of the whole, to the absolute truth. One of the ways is to learn to listen deeply, very deeply, empathically, stepping into the shoes of the person who is suffering and needs to be heard. In the right understanding, one does not take sides. You see things holistically and without judgment or dualistic perspective, but truly viewing and understanding as it stands. The second domain is moral. It holds three practices, which are right livelihood, actions, and speech. The nourishment you take must be good for your body and it should not bring any harm to others. For example, if you eat meat, someone has to kill that animal. If you buy excessive clothes, the factory will produce more and pressurize the cotton growers to grow more BT cotton, for which a lot of chemicals are used to grow. It comes back to you in one form or another and as well kills the soil, the very living thing that gives you, us, food to nourish our body, your body, and mine. What you eat, you become, and create as well. Let me remind you again, human beings live in interdependence. What you think and do has far reaching implications for everyone and everything on the earth. The second practice of morality is right action. Any action you take, either through thinking or doing, should not bring harm to yourself and others. Actions must be tuned to social justice, tolerance, humanity, compassion, altruism, and more. A winning photographer, I believe, killed himself for a photo he took of an African child torn in devastation. The helpless child was going to be the prey of a vulture sitting nearby, as it is indicative in his photograph. When he was asked, "Did you save the child?" he had not, and the thought gnawed him, irked his heart to commit suicide. The third practice under moral is right speech. You all know that kind and well meaning words can change any situation in one's favor. Saying sorry and thank you are words that will not degrade you, but rather take you to the path of humility and make you a happier and a greater human being. The last and the most important domain is concentration. It has also three practices: mindfulness, which we are talking about, meditation, and effort. Through the practice of mindful meditation, you can obtain answers to every question in your life because everything is in and with you. That is why it is said, "You are the Bhagavan, the universe." However, for all this to come true, your efforts, the third practice of concentration, must continue in that direction. An effort that will become a practice in long run, an effort that will be written in your subconscious mind, and you will then be on autopilot for goodness and happiness arising in your life naturally. Finally, I urge you, please remind yourself to change for the better today from the five major regrets of dying people. These regrets are: I wish I had spent more time with my loved ones and not struggled so hard. I wish I had not postponed my passion for tomorrow. I wish I would have lived my life not how others wanted me. I wish I would have said sorry. I wish I would have forgiven. Let me end my talk with a story. If you are a mindful being, you learn from the last wish of Alexander the Great. Let my peer be carried by doctors. Money, jewelry, and all precious things that I own must be spread on the path of my peer. Let my both hands be out of the peer so that people can see that my hands are empty. Life is precious, but humans take nothing with them when they die. Let you vouch to live for others, being connected, self with nature, and self with others, becoming realized human beings. An Aboriginal saying is, "We are not human beings in search of spirituality. We are spiritual beings in search of humanity." Lastly, I wish you Tashidele, meaning may auspiciousness be in every breath of your life, and may you bring happiness to yourself and the lives you touch. Thank you for giving me a bit of your life by listening to me.